This UCM Cloud Partner Peering presentation, I'm going to be talking about an overview of the UCM Cloud and players, going to develop or establish a peering lexicon, look at connectivity models, going to focus in on partner connected peering, and then close with virtual routing and forwarding. So as a reminder, UCM Cloud is a private service where the service is delivered over a private connection to the customer's premises. This is not an over-the-top solution. So there's two perspectives from which to consider this cloud. The partner's perspective is which I'm going to do in this deck, and then the customer's perspective, which I'm not covering today. So the key players here are customers who engage with Cisco partners. The partners are the ones who sell and manage UCM Cloud, and then Cisco hosts and operates this cloud. So the partners are the key players, and they're always involved, regardless of the sales model. So it's up to the partner to privately connect the customers to UCM Cloud, and they do this in one of two ways, either partner connected, which is number one, or direct connected or customer connected, number two. Notice there are several synonyms, and you'll hear them thrown around, but essentially there's two ways to do it, partner connected or customer connected. And in this presentation, I'm going to be speaking specifically about partner connected peering. So you're going to be saying, well, what is so great about peering? Well, it's essentially who provides the aggregation framework to the customer. So if you look at the diagram on the right here, you'll see there's a customer, a big black box, and a UCM Cloud. So what goes on in this mysterious box? Well, it's dependent on the partner sales model, and peering differentiates UCM Cloud from standard UCM. So there's several entities. You've got the internet, you've got customers, you've got partners, and UCM Cloud. How do they connect? How do they interconnect? And who does what? That's what I'm going to be speaking about here. Before we can do that, we need to establish a lexicon. So as I mentioned, there are two sales models for UCM Cloud. There's a partner connected model, which is what I'm specifically speaking about in this deck, and then a customer connected model. The two peering types is public peering and private peering. UCM Cloud uses private peering. It's over a private connection. And then finally, we need a partner with which to peer. And in this case, Cisco's chosen Equinix. So if you're going to be doing physical connection via cross connect, that'll be in an Equinix Meet Me room. It's also you're able to do it virtually using ECX Fabric. Well, that's Equinix Cloud, Equinix Connection Exchange Fabric, often called just ECX, but it's actually ECX Fabric. Continuing on with the lexicon, in order to establish peering, the partner needs to complete a peering questionnaire which Cisco will use to configure Cisco's side of the equation. So it's referred to generally as a PQ, and I've got a link at the end of the deck where you can find an example of the PQ. But terms you need to be familiar with are A side, B side, and sider addressing. And the reason for the A side and the B side is that UCM Cloud is globally distributed and redundant by region. So we're going to need VLAN tags. We're going to be configuring border gateway protocol. We're going to be configuring provider edge routers, and then finally virtual routing and forwarding needs to be established, and that's going to build up to a letter of authorization as needed. So just a quick comparison between the two models. The partner connected model on the left, take note of the customer. You'll see the customer is directly connected to the partner, and the partner aggregates the customer's traffic along with other services to UCM Cloud. Contrast that now with the customer connected model on the right, where the customer connects directly to UCM Cloud and the partner sits on the side. Partner is always involved in the entire sales model. It's just about the way the customer connects to Cisco UCM Cloud. As I mentioned, this is about partner connected peering. So if you notice, every cloud I draw, I have a shadow in it. That's because the underpinnings of Cisco UCM Cloud is the Cisco WebEx infrastructure, which is represented globally. So there's three regions, and I'll speak a little bit more about them, but essentially you got the Americas, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and then Asia Pacific on the right of the diagram there. And specifically where this presentation is speaking about is that connection between the partner and Cisco UCM Cloud in the carrier's Meet Me room, assuming we're doing this physically. So As I mentioned, there's a physical connection, which is for direct peering, and that happens in an Equinix location, specifically in the Meet Me room. There's 3 geographies, and there's 2 peering points per geography. I'll show you a diagram later, so don't pay too much attention to all these words. And essentially, the partner just pays for the physical cross connection. So if this partner has a lot of customers, this is probably a cost-effective way to go, so something to consider. Contrast that with a virtual connection via ECX Fabric that's available globally, and the partner has some additional items to pay for. So there's additional VRFs that need to be established. So this would be good for a partner perhaps who doesn't have a large premise presence. As I mentioned, Cisco is the underpinnings of it is the WebEx infrastructure. So the square boxes in each of these geographies represent UCM Cloud locations or WebEx data centers essentially. And then the red dots are showing where, and the square boxes also where major Equinix locations are located. The red dots show ECX Fabric locations. So again, on the left, you've got Americas, so that's essentially California and Texas. In Europe, Middle East, and Africa, you got London and Amsterdam for the data centers, and then Asia Pacific, we have Singapore and Japan. So the focus on this deck, as I've mentioned, is between the partner and Cisco UCM Cloud, and that's in the Meet Me room. So what is not discussed is the south of the partner, essentially, and that's all the services and how the customer gets connected. Looking a little more specific, this is a very busy slide, but I'll draw your attention to the bottom, and you'll notice I've got a west and an east. That's essentially no matter where you are in the globe, think of the two. It doesn't matter which data center you're speaking about. Could be calling them data center 1 and 2 if you want, but let's call them west and east just for grins. Now, you'll notice there's some PE routers here, and each router, if you look at on the west, you'll see there's an A side and a B side to the west, and there's an A side and a B side to the east as well. So in this example is for the US region. So in California, San Jose to be specific, there's a data center, and in Texas, in Dallas to be specific, is another data center. So and that goes up to the carrier's Meet Me rooms, in this case Equinix, or it could be to the ECX Fabric. It doesn't really matter. But the big thing here is there are 4 interfaces. Doesn't matter how many physical devices there are, but there need to be 2 redundant interfaces. So essentially, a side A and a side B making one pair of interfaces, and a side A and B of the other side. That's the gist of what I'm trying to show you here. And then you'll notice there's little white lines in those pipes to show you that a lot of this is virtual, and we've got 3 VRFs that need to be configured per edge router. A little more specific about what I was speaking about. So just focusing on a region. So let's take the Americas region. So the A side, let's call that, that would be San Jose. And let's call the B side Dallas, Texas. So for that, you're going to need interface details. You're going to need IP addresses. You're going to need CIDR notation for that. You're going to need the .1 tag IDs, and the same for the B side. And then, of course, you're going to do the same for the west side. And so all of that data is collected and collated via the PQ, or the partner questionnaire, and then Cisco puts all of that into configuration in the data center, and the partner does the same. Looking a little more specifically now at the VRF, so we got 3 BGP VRFs per edge router. So, and those VRFs are for partner management. That's access to the actual UCM cluster, to the interfaces and all that good stuff. Then you got the partner needs to provide internet for the customer's UCM instance, because the UCM servers in UCM Cloud are unique to the customer, recall, and they need internet access. And so that's what that partner internet VRF is for. And then finally, the customer's endpoints, desk phones or whatever, they need to get to the UCM Cloud, and that's what the customer's VRF is for. So those are the 3 endpoints. You'll notice that there's routes that need to be advertised. If you look at the middle of that essentially cylinder that I'm trying to show, is a color code key to the bottom right. So the green represents partner VRF, the yellow or gold is the customer VRF, and then the dark blue black is the internet VRF. So you'll see the uh, partner VRF advertises private specific from the partner direction and private specific from UCM Cloud, whereas the customer is 0.0.0 with a /0 CIDR address from the partner side, and it's a private specific from UCM Cloud. And then the only difference for the internet one is from UCM Cloud, it's a public specific advertisement, and that's provided by the partner. Some resources that will give you a little more information around this is ucmcloudhelp.cisco.com. Take a look at the UCM Cloud Partner Onboarding Guide, which is describe a lot of what I've described here, perhaps in a little more detail that you'll find easier to follow. The peering questionnaire, which is hopefully this presentation will help you get through that a little easier. And then in case you're curious, the data center locations and their physical addresses, which will be needed for the LOA. And that concludes this presentation. Thank you.